episode 270. Dublin Hotel removes statues. Hello and welcome. Glad you can be here. I've got a window open here. It's quite warm today, so I do apologise if there's any extraneous noise. I know sometimes at the beginning of these podcasts you might hear like strange noises and things like that. It's just the environment, and then I've got a little computer with I took all the fans away and it still seems to make a fan noise. But outside there's life going on, and I sort of like that a little bit. Technically still in lockdown. It's the end of July 2020. I like to know there's a bit of life out there. I think a bit of feedback I had was I get quite a bright part of my face here from the window, but I like that there's life out there. There's very little in here, but it's nice to know there's life out there anyway. So news just in. There's quite a I don't know what the phrase is. Expensive, luxurious, 5-star hotel in the centre of Dublin called the Shelburne, as you can see on the screen. And basically this hotel it's quite iconic in some ways where it's located. It's on St Stephen's Green, or Stephen's Green as it's most commonly known. And it's crucial in some ways to the modern Irish history for all sorts of reasons. And I'm not going to go into that now, but feel free to Google it if you feel that way inclined. But something happened on Monday. It's Wednesday today. On Monday, so basically there's some statues at the front of the building. I think 4 of them. I think 2 were like a high priestess and 2 were the slaves of the high priestess. I think that's what it was. And they were holding like a lamp. I think it was illuminated. I think it was electrified as well. And on Monday they took the decision to remove them, to get rid of them completely. They've been there 153 years, by the way, so they've been there quite a while. I think the general manager says something like, in light of recent world events, we took the decision to remove these, So I find this very interesting. And I want to start off by saying, I don't have an opinion. Am I happy they were there? Am I happy they were removed? I'm pretty indifferent to all of it, But I find aspects of it interesting. I have driven past the Shelburne Hotel. I know they exist. I didn't know the details. I knew what they looked like. I know what the lights they were holding, looking very fancy Art Deco, from the 19th century. I've stayed in the Shelburne. I didn't go up to them close up and have a look and see that there was in chains, there were slaves or there were hieroglyphics on them. I didn't do any of that, but I'd stayed there, and it's Art Deco, and I find it very interesting anyway that they've been removed in, like they say, in light of recent world events, Just scroll down here. So 1867, they depict 2 Nubian princesses. So I think Nubian is from the Sudan, African, the Lower Nile. I think the Egyptians conquered that part of the world a long time ago, and the 2 princesses have two slave girls, so they've gone, There's an interesting history behind the actual statues themselves. It comes from a time when Egypt was very, shall we say, in vogue, and with the French in some ways to blame for that. But it opened up the whole Egyptian culture to the well-heeled, shall we say, of Europe. At the time when these were commissioned, these statues, and this is the Barbizat of Paris, whoever the creator was. He designed these in the style at the time that was considered to be, it represented opulence and luxury, because only the well-heeled would have had access to any information really at that level about Egypt, and they were only outside of the building. They've been there 153 years. So at some point, the decision was taken to have these removed because, and I suppose it comes down to offence, that it might offend people, I don't think they had any complaints that it was offending anybody. I just look at a cursory glance on Twitter, lots of people are upset they've been removed. Lots of people are going, yeah, this is great, anti-slavery, this is brilliant, and like I say, I have no particular opinion on it. I knew they existed. I didn't know they were slaves. I didn't know they were Egyptian. I didn't know what they were. To me, it was a decoration for the hotel. There were lamps. It looked quite nice, So they've been removed, and I'm not sure that's the right decision for all sorts of reasons. One of them is, this is going to sound really ridiculous, it's planning permission. It's an iconic fascia of a building in the centre, in a capital city, in a major country in the world. It's iconic, these figures are iconic, right? And they've been removed without any permission, right? Just because Marriott owns the building. The building, the fascia, you know what? I know that if they remove the window on that building, bricked it up, or put some cheap window, they'd be in trouble. We're talking about a window here, not a statue, So that is a problem to begin with, And I'm not saying the statues are wonderful, they're great, they should be there, they shouldn't be there. I'm just wondering why the manager, and I suppose ultimately the Marriott group, decided they could remove them without asking anybody. Now, you know what, the planning authorities probably would have went, yeah, you're right, let's remove them. That's okay, I don't mind that as well, I'm not fighting to have them there, like I say, I'm not on either side of it. But you wouldn't remove the window. I mean, there's trees at the back of my house. If a tree goes missing, if I cut a tree down because I don't like it, the council comes to my house and goes, what's up with that tree? Now, it's been struck by lightning, or it's an act of God, it's fine, that's no problem. If you cut that down, it's like, and that's a tree, we're not even talking a statue here. So, the look of Dublin is really well protected by the planning authorities, so it's surprising that the hotel, ultimately the Marriott group, I don't want to keep mentioning the Marriott group, and I do like Marriott hotels, I've stayed in a few around the world, but ultimately they are responsible for the actions, I suppose, of the hotel that they own, so anyway, they took them down, whatever. So that was quite strange. They should have really consulted. There was no protests and there was no complaints. I think it might have been highlighted. I believe it's been highlighted previously. Somebody has mentioned to them that these are inappropriate, because they're slaves, and you shouldn't have it outside your building, And I don't mind that. I think that's good. If people, a group of people, part of society don't like something, you should, say, listen, you shouldn't have this on your building. I actually didn't know they were slaves. I didn't know the history behind them. I knew they were quite nice, ornate. I didn't think of them, but that wasn't in response to a complaint anyway. They took it upon themselves, So I find that quite interesting. But the other thing as well is, and it sort of comes down to the fact that it was an artist who created these. He was commissioned in a different era than today. Well, I'll make that clear as well. He was an artist, a sculptor, and he was commissioned to produce these figures in line with what was, considered like, okay, fine at the time, and there was a very romantic view of Egypt, and the imagery and everything else. It's an artwork, it's a sculpture. These aren't representations of real people. These people never existed, right? These slave girls, of course there were slave girls in the Sudan in this period, I get all that, but this is an artwork by an artist that was commissioned and paid to produce these artworks. Okay, fine, that's why they're there. And the concern I have is, there's a lot of artworks I really don't like, There's artworks that you could almost say are offensive, and, I don't like this at all. And I just wonder is this setting a new precedent that, the hotel is taking down an artwork in case it offends somebody. It's not even been proven it's offended anybody. You know, I mean, people love to, you know, to hold on to these things and go, well, I'm offended by that, which is fine. You know, it's a personal thing. A lot of people weren't, you know, and I don't mean that they were like supporting to have the slave girls on display, but they weren't offended to the point where these have to be removed. It's a historical item and it's an artwork, and I think that's the key here. It's an artwork, and we talk about freedom of speech. We talk about the right to say things publicly and not be persecuted for it, you know. And I do wonder why, you know, it can be the most offensive thing you've ever seen, you know. And like I say, it's a personal thing. Offence doesn't mean we're all offended by it. I'm very hard to offend, so maybe I'm not a good example. But if an artwork offends you, that's fine. You know, tell it's offended me. That's whatever. And enough people are offended. You know, maybe it'll be removed, maybe it'll be put behind closed doors, and I get that, you know. But for an enterprise, a business, to make this decision without consulting anybody, not even the right authorities, I think is unacceptable, you know. And let's not forget now, like I said, this is a business. Hotels are really struggling. The Shelburne is one of the more expensive, exclusive hotels, you know, in Dublin, and I do believe that you know, they give this the sentiment of, oh, in the current climate. I think the current climate they're talking about is not about Black Lives Matter. I think the current climate is they're really suffering because the tourist industry is not doing very well, and I really do believe this is really just a cheap shot. It's nothing to do with supporting the movement about Black Lives Matter. It's more about them trying to get a very inexpensive publicity stunt, and I think that's unacceptable, you know.